Howdy, and welcome to Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories one line at a time. What you didn't just see there is that John, while that sound effect was going, did some little finger guns to make the sound effect of a Wild West gun shootout. So thank you, John, for that.
I don't know what you're talking about. There was a man who ran in here with guns. Peter is in a full cowboy hat today. He's going full method. I've seen Peter like this on many times. That was after dark. This is different. I think this is for an audition.
Yeah, it's for I'm gonna try and be a dancer at Flaming Saddles. Which won't make sense to anyone not in New York or LA. That's a gay bar here. Man, I've made a lot of jokes about myself being gay. People are gonna think I am, and I don't care.
You've made a lot.
I just realized that. That's okay, you know?
You're comfortable with it, at least.
I'm comfortable. Welcome to Finish My Story, where we try to tell narratively complex stories.
One line.
At a time.
Yes, Cameron's back. Hi.
Hi.
Guess what, guys? You may have seen us post on social media. Yes, we've been away for a while. We have a big announcement. It's not the announcement we teased last time. It's a different announcement. As you may have heard, Cameron is back. She just said hi.
Peter also just did a hand motion
towards
He
Cameron.
pointed at me and no one can see it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're watching us.
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
I always feel like...
You don't want to pay for the song. Don't finish it.
Yep, you're right. So...
Very shocking type.
Basically, Les is very busy. He's gotten a lot of work with his storytelling. He's going on the road a lot. He started his own podcast. He just loves the Hallmark Channel. Check that out. And so he's needed to take some time off, step away. Luckily, we had just done an episode with Cameron, and we were like, she is awesome. We like her. She's fun to hang out with and tell stories with. So we decided that Cameron is going to be with us full time.
We also blackmailed her.
Yeah.
We said that if she wouldn't agree to do it, we'd release the other episode, which joke's on her.
Oh, man, she said some racist things.
Yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah. So
you have to listen to know which race Cameron does not like.
Hints. It's the Croats. I tried to pick something very random that no one would think is true.
Well, the thing is, so many people watch Game of Thrones that they know exactly who that is.
People from Croatia?
Yeah.
They do film that there.
Yeah.
So, yes, welcome, Cameron. You'll be full-time. We're going to get a picture of Cameron up there so you guys can have something to associate the voice with.
Okay, for clarification, we're going to have a picture with the three of us, not just Cameron.
Yeah, but we don't matter.
She's not taking over the spotlight.
I think it should just be my face. I think that'd be...
Give it 2 episodes.
That'd be fun.
And we'll see.
It'll just be Cameron.
It'll just happen.
Cameron, is there anything else you need to tell us about yourself that you didn't tell us last week? Where are you from? You didn't mention that.
I'm from Irvine.
Okay, you're a California.
I'm a California
I'm outnumbered
girl.
now. There's 2 of you. From the California.
That's actually, you never find 2 people in LA who are both from California.
That's true.
In the same room. That's actually very rare.
I feel like it's like staring at twin unicorns.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Well, if they're twins, then probably better than there being 2 different unicorns born at different times. So probably more likely.
Yeah, good logic, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finish my logic.
So anyway, yes, you're from California.
Yeah, I'm from California. Did I mention that I like glitter and pink?
No.
Okay, I like glitter and pink. Put them together, that's even better. That's about everything.
And as you said, so if you haven't listened before, let's introduce ourselves. We usually do this every week, but sometimes we put it in a weird place. And I'm Peter, and I'm an improv actor.
I'm John, or Jonathan, and I'm a screenwriter.
I'm Cameron, and I am a writer/actor.
Yeah. And she writes for television. So take that, movies. I was looking at John while I said that because he's a, film screenwriter.
They saw. You don't need to tell them.
Anyway, so let's keep this train rolling narrative wise. What are you watching, or what have you been reading or watching? It's been a couple weeks, so hopefully you have something good to tell us about.
I watched Ingrid Goes West, finally.
Starring Aubrey Plaza, who a lot of people think Cameron looks like.
doppelganger.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think that.
I mean, I was just gonna wait for it, but I mean, I did talk about Ingrid Goes West on this podcast.
Oh, really?
About a few episodes ago.
Okay.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, it was really good. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but I really enjoyed it. It was a fun movie.
John, did you enjoy it?
I thought the acting in it was really great. It was not what I was expecting, and I liked the King of Comedy. I mentioned it last. The King of Comedy parallels with the Scorsese De Niro movie. It's like a soup tasting podcast.
We already did our soup podcast.
What was that called again? Minestrone and Me. Let's see. I've been watching. Let's just get into this again.
Yeah.
I've been watching Barry.
Oh, I love that show.
The Bill Hader Dexter show.
Yeah.
Which has the Dexter filter on it almost.
Yeah.
And it has Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind music. But it's really great. It's super
great.
funny. The acting's really it's directed really well. I think the fourth episode is the first one that's not directed by Bill Hader.
Oh, I've only seen the first two so far.
I might have jumped and skipped ahead.
Okay.
But it's awesome. Check it out.
In case you haven't heard from the multiple times we reference it exclusively, we are in Los Angeles, and it does talk a lot about actually specifically where we are and what we do in North Hollywood. We're recording right now in North Hollywood, which comes up a bit in Barry. So Cameron and I go to karaoke very often, and that bar that we go to is featured in the first episode.
That's why I keep meaning to watch it, because I'm like, that's where we go.
Residuals, it's called. But there's no headshots on the world.
Oh, they didn't make that up for them.
No, that's the bar we go to karaoke. And it's filmed there, too.
I was at work the other day, and they were talking about Barry. And I was like, yeah, Residuals is in it. And they're like, yeah, that's the name of the fictional bar in the show. I was like, no. I'm there.
That's the real bar
all the time.
We were there last night.
Yeah.
It's just too perfect for it to actually exist.
Yes. Well, the cool thing about Residuals, let's get deep into it, is they used to, I don't know if they still do this anymore, if you had a residual check for under $1, you could bring it in and get a free drink.
Oh, that's cool.
That was their little thing.
I think allegedly they still do, but nobody's actually tried it.
No one tries it in a long time. And you only bring one a night. You can't bring in multiple residual.
The best is when you get those residual checks for 2 or 3 cents, and they spend 37 cents on the mail. Okay,
yeah. We're getting really inside baseball in LA, so let's take it back. Anyway, it's baseball season, so I said inside baseball.
We don't want to bore people more. I love baseball, but my God, I know people find it boring.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad that you like Barry.
Yeah, I do. Barry and baseball.
Barry and baseball.
What are you watching, Peter?
You know what I watched recently? I watched for the first time Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which is a great movie. It stars John Leguizamo, Patrick Swayze, and Wesley Snipes as drag queens. And they are all very good as drag queens. Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes do not make very convincing drag queens. But I got to tell you, John Leguizamo is very, passes hardcore. But it's amazing. And I bring this up because for some reason, I've always thought that movie was a John Hughes movie. I thought it was a teenage comedy. So my friend was like, let's watch Tu Wong Fu. You've never seen it. I was like, I don't like those 80s John Hughes movies. He's like, what are you talking about? It's made in 95 and it's about drag queens. And I was like, it's a very, very different film than a John Hughes movie. It's very not the same at all.
I have 2 points.
Yes.
First of all, you mentioned the, I would say, convincing of physical appearance of John Leguizamo.
Yes.
His name is Johnny Legs. So that would make sense.
He's got great legs.
He already has a drag name.
He's got great legs in that movie.
Right, and for commenting earlier about all of the sort of gay things that you say, this isn't helping, Peter. You're watching drag queen movies now.
I mean, that sounds right up my alley.
Cameron,
I
you
need
have
Patrick
to see
Swayze and drag queens. That's
it's
everything I could ever want.
It's not a great movie. There's definitely a weird. It's got that weird 80s or 90s movie structure where things happen and there's 2 separate chunks of the movie that sort of it looks like it's starting on this one path and then it suddenly stops and becomes this other movie. I think that I feel like that happened a lot in 80s and 90s films where the story structure telling was different.
Yeah, that is called cocaine. where you get so invested in the first 30 minutes of a story and then you get such an amazing idea. Oh my God, the movie has to be this instead, and you don't want to go back and change it. That's 80s filmmaking. Jean-Claude Van Damme got the lead in Bloodsport because he could, as a waiter, show the producer that while holding a martini, could kick another glass out of someone's hand without spilling the one he's holding. That is the 80s. So,
well, this was 95, a little bit later than that.
I'm sure it's carried over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Either way, it's a great movie. Watch it. Be weirdly attracted to John Leguizamo, if that's your style.
In a movie with Patrick Swayze, you're paying
gonna
attention to
really
Johnny
Because
Legs?
they're in drag, and Patrick Swayze looks like a dude in drag, and Wesley Snipes looks like a huge muscly dude in drag.
Like you're not
and
on,
John
you're not on trial
Leguizamo looks
here,
like
Peter.
a woman.
You're not on trial. We're just trying to help you.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. So now that we've gotten that all done, a little bit about our podcast. We are going to tell a story, as we said, one line at a time. We have some things we do, like...
Story pause.
Wait, what's that?
Let me try it again without my voice cracking. Story pause.
You still correct a little bit.
That was on purpose. That was by design. A story pause, Peter, is if someone says something in the story that either needs clarification or we need to just take a moment to make fun of what was just said, we'll pause the story.
How do we pause the story?
We'll say, story pause.
Oh, we pause it, and the story is paused. And then,
We'll pause it.
and then do we get back into the story?
The way we get back into the story is like one of us will scream like, resume story.
Or story resume.
Thank you, Peter.
And we also do a story punishment. You can vote on our story punishment from last episode, which will be hitting our social media platforms tomorrow. And I'll explain that in a second. But what is a story punishment, Cameron?
Story punishment is when you do a mistake and you get something wrong.
Like what? Like
you get the name of a character wrong,
Sure.
for example, or details of the story.
Sure.
You mix things up. So if you do that, you get binged, and like that,
Bing.
and yep, that happens, and then if you're the one with the most bings at the end, you have to do a story punishment.
Yep. Which you can vote on our social media platforms, as I mentioned. It's on Facebook or Instagram at Finish My Story Podcast, and on Twitter at Finish Story Cast. You can vote and then watch the punishment afterwards. Watch us do some humiliating things on there.
I'm just going to jump in front of the rumors now and say that Les's story punishment from the last episode was not his body being thrown into the river, and that's why he's not with us today. That is not what happened. Les is definitely alive. I swear it wasn't me. No, he's so someone else will have a different punishment.
Yes.
Aside from what did not happen to Les.
Yeah.
And I can confirm that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so let's get into it. So what's the order this week? I think, you know what? I think I'm going to start.
Why do you even ask me if you already know the answer?
Well, because you usually say it, but then you looked like so confused at that moment a moment ago.
I'm just still very befuddled by your cowboy outfit.
So who's going after me?
I'll go after you.
Okay. And then after that?
Back
Me.
to Peter. Oh.
Oh, it's in like a round and round it goes.
Peter, I don't know who this person is.
Round and round it goes in the circle game. Right?
Is that a song?
Yeah, that's a song.
Are you paying for 2 songs in this episode? Yeah, so
Anyway.
the order will be Peter.
Yeah.
Then it'll go to me.
Yep.
Then
Then it
it'll
goes-
go to Cameron.
Then it goes to
Then
me.
it'll go to Peter.
That's how this works.
I'd
our
say
first-
it was clockwise, but again, this is not a very visual medium.
But you can trust us. It is clockwise. Once in this is
You
a
can always
random-
trust a cowboy.
This is a random thing. But one time in math class in 7th grade, my math teacher, instead of saying counterclockwise, said counterclockwise. I will never
Nice.
forget that. That's all.
This is like a rejected monologue from American Pie 2.
Counterclockwise.
One time in math class, He meant to say Pythagorean theorem.
When he said pussy.
I don't have a father. Okay. Well,
That doesn't even...
Yeah, that's American Pie. Come on, it's like this high comedy.
That is about the right caliber.
Anyway, our first line today, because we got Cameron and she's now a permanent part. Cameron and I became friends for many, many reasons, but one of the things we did together.
You could have just said Cameron and I go to Disney often.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Making
No,
it
you didn't.
weird.
You made it sound like there's some other weird shit going on.
No, I just saying we were.
You make it sound like we killed a man together. We were like, oh, this is a bonding experience.
I was saying we became friends in many because we get along well together. But one of the things we do together often is go to Disneyland, as you may see if you stalk us on social medias.
Which you should.
And so we do that. And my favorite Disney movie, well, one of my two favorites, is Hunchback of Notre Dame. And there's a book called The Hunchback of Notre Dame, of which the movie is based. And that will be where our first line comes from.
Wait, there's a book?
I know. Victor Hugo. Which, by the way, I just learned the other day, and I feel like such a fool because I've watched that movie so many times. I never made the connection.
Movie?
No. Do you know the name of the two male gargoyles in Hunchback of Notre Dame?
I forgot, but I used to know
It's
this.
Victor and Hugo.
Right, yeah.
Which makes sense why? No.
No reason. It's just it's just their names. They have nothing to do with the book.
Are they also voiced by Jason Alexander?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then some other guy. The other guy.
It's not
Whoopi
David
Goldberg
Pierce.
is the... No. Who's...
No.
That's thinking of the hyenas.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg is a hyena. Hunchback of
Listen,
Notre
we'll
Dame.
come back to this
I'll figure
later.
it out. We're going to find it out.
In the meantime, yes, so that's our first line. The first line is a little bit long, so we're going to do what we've done before. We're going to just do half of the first line, where there's a good resting spot. Are you guys ready?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you know of any bridges in France, because this quote is abridged.
I'm
leaving that silence in there.
I hope you
so everyone can know how long I stared at John.
I want a longer... I heard the life leave Cameron's body in the form of a gasp. It was so intense. Anyway.
My soul, literally.
She was very upset about this whole instance. Okay.
All right, let's go. 348 years, 6 months, and 19 days ago today,
a small group of Mayans predicted this day.
It had been foretold for so long. Barbara didn't know what to do now that it had finally come.
the day that all of the cheese in Whole Foods would be on 80% sale.
The sale had been marked in Barbara's calendar long before she even knew what a whole food was, or before she had even started shopping there.
But now there it was on the calendar, the day she had been training for since she was a small child.
You see, Barbara really, really, really loved cheese.
And luckily for her, Barbara's knowledge of this cheese sale came at a time in middle school when she was learning about Mayan history and was also very easily inspired to have new hobbies. And so cheese was a big part of her life, thanks to the Mayans.
And so, as a middle schooler, she began her cheese studies in preparation for what was to come.
Roquefort, Camembert, Stilton, Bleu, Cheddar. All of these cheeses were studied by Barbara throughout the years.
And Barbara would be the very First, lactose intolerant, cheese eating, binging, competitive eater ever.
She opened up her cabinet and pulled out one of her many stockpiles of Lactaid that she would need for the cheese eating.
This day has come and I suddenly feel unprepared, she thought to herself.
But Barbara shoved down her feelings of emptiness, grabbed a handful of Lactaid pills, and got ready to head out to the Whole Foods to stock up on some more cheese.
Gouda, Parmesan, Asiago, that's what it is. Goat cheese. She thought of some more cheeses that she'd studied throughout the years.
Like Brie, Reggiano, American, and of course,
the others.
Like mozzarella, feta, more cheddar, pepper jack, and all the rest.
With her cheese studies in mind, Barbara, who lived in Tampa, Florida, put on her sun hat, as it was rather sunny outside, her galoshes, as it might rain despite the sun, because you never know in Tampa, Florida, and made her way to the Whole Foods.
She could prepare what cheeses she wanted to buy, but she could not prepare herself for running into her old enemies in the cheese-eating world, Jack Monterey and Chet Hedder.
Fancy seeing you here, said Jack Monterey. I suppose you're going to eat the cheese also.
Well, that is my plan, Barbara said.
Flipping her calendar back to the first month and tucking it under her arm, because she brought the calendar as her shopping list.
Suddenly, a strange thought came upon her. She could invite both of them to come with her to get the cheese, as it would be a perilous journey through the Florida swamps to get to the Whole Foods of Tampa.
You know, a thought just occurred to me, Barbara said. Maybe you guys could come with me to get the cheese, as it will be a perilous journey through the Florida swamps to get to the Whole Foods in Tampa.
I could prepare for what types of cheeses I wanted to eat, Chet said. But I could not prepare for running into you, Barbara. Okay.
And so the three of them began their trek, quizzing each other on cheeses as they went.
All right, Babs, Jet said. She hated that nickname. Name me a cheese from Italy that isn't mozzarella or Parmesan.
Why do you always lob these the easy questions to me? Is it because you don't think that I know as much as you? You look down on me? We're getting into this now.
Clearly, you know that mascarpone is also an Italian cheese. How dare you condescend to me like this? I eat tiramisu every night.
Story pause. That's my new favorite line. That's I can't even like appropriately laugh and react to it right now because it's so like incredible.
Peter's crying.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I mean, okay. Let me.
Okay.
I really didn't think that would be the one to get.
Well,
you.
it's just the like
the timing of it.
no, it's the like the dropping of the mic of like don't condescend me like that. I eat tiramisu every night. I'm gonna
Don't
just start.
at me, bruh.
I'm gonna start using that in regular everyday conversation. Like I just, it's like the greatest. Anytime someone's like, if I get like a story note, if I get a note on a script, don't condescend me like that. I eat tiramisu every night. Done. Okay, I'm like in awe. Okay. Resume story.
Chet looked her up and down and said, "All right, well, you don't look like you eat tiramisu every night."
That's enough. We're almost at the swampiest part of the swamp, where we're gonna need each other's help to cross this swamp. We can't be fighting.
They looked out at the edge of the swamp and tried to survey it for what might be inside. And they were pretty sure there was an alligator.
And as they surveyed and took note of the landscape, they felt a rumble. It started slow, and then suddenly all the ground was shaking, and the trees were swaying, and the water was bouncing up out of the swamp.
Barbara quickly looked at her calendar at the same date as they were on currently and saw the Mayans had too predicted this, an earthquake in Florida.
Well, this is some bad timing, she said, as she watched the swamp begin to part, revealing all of the creatures that would kill them.
I really should have put two and two together, considering I live in Florida, that the earthquake in Florida coincide. Oh, right, that was part of the prediction. They were together, and she tried to think back because she remembered that there was more to this Mayan calendar prediction.
Chet Hedder removed the backpack that had not been discussed previously, opened it up and removed a handful of rocks, tossed them into the swamp, casting a sort of Mayan spell, as you would, and the earthquake ceased.
These must be the protectors of the cheese, he said. This could be a problem for us. We'll have to battle them fiercely.
Jack, who had been silent for a while, but for trying to stop an argument, said, Hey guys, why don't we just take that boat over there? It's it's a swamp. We don't have to like swim through it or anything.
And also because we've been preparing for this for I can only speak for myself, but like years. That is my boat. I brought that here. I did prepare for this. You want to use it?
Barbara and Chet felt pretty silly for not thinking about that. Especially since Chet had helped Jack with the boat. Since they were together before when they were walking to the Whole Foods. Not in a gay way.
Story pause. As they were walking to the Whole Foods. No homo.
Wait, so were they walking? They weren't walking in a gay way to the Whole Foods, or
No,
they were together?
They were not together in a gay way.
Yeah, I took it as
You
that.
gave me a look when I said they were walking together, and I was like, wait, I didn't mean. I didn't mean to imply that they were like having sexual congress.
Sure.
With each other.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Good.
I mean, they could, but
Peter
that's not
would
part of
add
this.
that.
Yeah,
That's-
clearly.
Peter was getting really excited about this.
I was going to go right there.
I'm sorry.
I was going right there. I'm even trying to think of ways I could still make it go there, but that's
You
okay.
can save
But
it, probably.
We've clarified. That was the point of the story pause, so now I really can't.
We also don't know what the name of this little boat is. It could be the Love Boat or the Menage a Cheese.
Or the Mama Roo.
It's
Drag
story.
reference.
So the three of them got in the boat, which was named the SS Cheese. They weren't very clever at naming things. And it was one of those big boats with the fans on the back of it. Like from Florida. Because they were in a Florida swamp. It was a swamp boat, basically. And they took off.
As they glided down the swamp towards the Whole Foods, this was the normal Floridian route to said Whole Foods. Chet could not stop looking at the way that Barbara's hair blew in the fan blowing wind.
It was beautiful, he thought to himself, as she sat there in the boat, letting her hair luxuriously wave behind her. He was so lost in his thoughts that he didn't notice the giant alligator coming up to the side of the boat.
Barbara, I have something to say, he screamed over the whirring of the fan. And as he reached out his arm to gesticulate, as he often did, the gator came over the side and pulled him by the arm into the water.
Barbara only turned around in time to see a small splash come out of the swamp, but no thrashing, no sign of fight. And she tried to steer the boat around.
She just really wanted to know what Chet had to say. She had no clue what it could possibly be. But it must be important for him to wave his arms around, knowing there were gators.
So she steered the boat around, and her and Jack looked into the water, screaming out, "Chet! Chet, are you there?" But all they saw was blood.
Which, under different circumstances, Jack would have mentioned as a great pairing with cheese. But this was probably not the time.
They thought Chet was done for, but what they didn't know was that under the water, Chet was battling the alligator and winning, and it was the alligator's blood on the water.
You see, Chet was a Floridian, and in order to get your Floridian driver's license, you have to wrestle an alligator. So he was well experienced in fighting off alligators / gators, or gators as they're known. And after 2 minutes, he swam to the top.
Unbeknownst of his winning, Barbara was embraced in a hug of grief, not knowing if she would ever see her frenemy again, until he plopped up onto the surface with his buoyant cheddar arm inflatables.
He looked up at the boat and saw Barbara hugging his friend and thought that he was too late to tell her how he really felt, which was a real bummer considering he was going to gift her the skin of the alligator he had killed.
Story pause. He was very quick at skinning a whole gator.
It's very happy.
Underwater.
It's probably part of
2 minutes.
Part of the Florida driver's
He didn't
license.
have to skin it. He could have just like.
He was maybe planning on skinning it.
Okay,
He has the
okay, sure.
And
And
he's
maybe
thinking-
even looks like the alligator, and they're not sure as he's coming out, and then that's for a different day.
Yeah.
Story resume. So Chet threw the alligator on board, screamed, "I'm alive!" and jumped up, thinking, while his heart was broken, his troubles with the Florida creatures were over.
But also his arm didn't feel so great, as it had been dragged by an alligator into the water. But that was nothing compared to how his heart ached.
I can get first aid for my arm, he thought, but not first aid for my feelings.
Barbara was surprised to see him. She had already gone through all 5 stages of grief. Denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and finally, acceptance. You have to move quickly in the Floridian cheese world. And so she didn't know how to think, how to feel.
So her attention turned back to eating those feelings, and she thought once again about the Whole Foods cheese sale, which she had been looking forward to her whole life.
Fontina, Jarlsberg, smoked Gouda, other types of Swiss.
Munster, provolone,
American cheese product, which isn't really cheese, but it had the name cheese in it, so it counted.
And Manchego, which everyone always forgets about.
All right, well, that was crazy, she said. Let's just get back on our journey, and none of us will talk about anything that we feel ever again, my cheesy frenemies.
Chet gave Jack a look of disapproving, "That's my woman," and started the boat up again towards the Whole Foods.
They boated across the swamp without any more attacks. Probably because the alligator that they had on board was a warning to all the other creatures, not to mess with them.
When they made it across the swamp without any creature attacks, they set foot on dry land. But Chet, who was still in a weird place, didn't look where he was stepping and stepped right on a rattlesnake's tail.
Oops, sorry, Mr. Rattlesnake. And it slithered off with no further incident.
Just don't do it again, it yelled as it slithered away. Because it was a talking rattlesnake, and I'm not taking that back.
Story pause. Florida. Story resume.
Did that rattlesnake just talk to us? Man, that's pretty cool, Barbara said.
Suddenly, Barbara's tone changed as she realized if they couldn't quickly get to their cheese sale, they'd have to fight another beast. The wearing off of her lactate.
We've got to hurry, she yelled. This lactate only works for 4 hours. It's already been 3.5.
Very vocal about it.
So, the gang decided that after all they'd been through, they should help Babs, which she hated that nickname. And so they ran to the Whole Foods, which actually was only like a block away from the edge of the swamp, because there's a swamp everywhere in Florida, even in Tampa, which is a developed city with baseball teams and football teams and even a hockey team, but still it's just basically a swamp. We all know this.
But they were able to catch the opening of the Whole Foods, and the line was being let in, where, of course, more wacky characters in the cheese-eating world were found, like...
Like Mark Mozzarella. And Cammy Bear.
Brie Larson. And Gorgonzola, who just didn't have a human name and went by the name of his favorite cheese.
Oh, hey, look, there's Gore, said Chet.
And also Oscar winner Brie Larson? Why is she here in Florida?
For the cheese sale, of course, Jack said. But isn't the cheese sale at every Whole Foods? Barbara asked.
This is my Whole Foods of choice, Brie Larson chimed in. I love Florida.
Good enough for us, they all said. And they got in line right behind Brie.
As the line was getting let in, it seemed like their adventures were over. They were there. They'd outlasted the swamp, the rattlesnake, and Chet was finally feeling like maybe he should say something, when out of the trees, a cougar jumped down and stared right at Chet.
If you're thinking of revealing your secret desires to that woman, don't, said the cheetah. Telepathically.
Bing!
Oh, it was a
cougar.
It's a sea thing. It's
a very different animal.
I know.
Oh, God, I'm excited.
I know. So the cougar.
Resume story.
Is this an animal cougar? This isn't like Floridian cougar.
I just said cougar, but
Take it how you want.
you said cheetah, so I mean that's. I'm assuming it means a cat now. So.
Okay.
Resume story.
I got banged. I'm sad now.
He looked the cougar in the eyes and said, "This day was also foretold on the Mayan calendar. It's the day I confess my true feelings. It was a specific Mayan calendar specifically made for me that says this."
And though he didn't intend to say it in view of everyone, he did just say it out loud to the cougar. So Barbara said, "Wait, what? You have a Mayan calendar as well? What do you mean your true feelings? What are you talking? Wait, how did you get a Mayan calendar that's different than mine?" Mayan.
And like that, he was caught in his truth. His feelings were known. Barbara once again reached for the calendar that was tucked under her arm, flipped to the current day, and looked at the inscription from the Mayans, which said,
"The special cheese earthquake love day in Tampa, Florida."
And so Chet looked at Babs, and she really didn't like that nickname, and he prepared to say his true feelings, but got so lost in her eyes, he reached out and kissed her right on the lips.
It was in that moment that Barbara knew the truth behind the Mayan prediction. They weren't predicting a cheese sale. No, it wasn't about cheese at all. The sale was on love. And Barbara had found it.
So she pulled back from Chet and said, "I love you, and I know you love me too, and that's what you were going to tell me. So now we can kiss again, but with active consent."
And as they kissed, Barbara thought of some of those cheeses again. Cotija. Cream. Edam.
And she said, "Baby, with this relationship, I'm willing to age it."
And he said, "Never say that again, and we'll be good. We'll be good."
And they kissed a passionate kiss. But if only Barbara had actually read the full Mayan prediction. As they kissed, a giant asteroid fell through the sky and destroyed all of Florida.
In a comet made of cheese. Like the moon. Cosmic cheese.
The end?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, thanks to Florida for allowing us to go weird.
Yep.
Yeah, this is really good as an episode of Cameron's here, because I love Florida and I love cheese.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
the
clear
Hobbit.
that Cameron had the
This
most
is
cheese
all about
knowledge.
me. Yes.
You knew. I don't know anything about cheese.
I know
So-
a lot about cheese. I go to Ralph's and buy cheese a lot.
I was upset at
It's
myself.
expensive.
Cheese is expensive.
Cheese is so expensive.
Would you refer yourself as being a cheese whiz? I'm really sorry.
You know
I
what,
don't
John?
know what-
After that, you just need to cheese it. That's a come on.
Who says that?
In Superbad, cheese it. It's the cops.
All right, I
I
think
feel
we're really
so
just
much
string
better.
cheesing this along. I'm doing
Peter doesn't like jokes because he, like the Swiss, considers himself holier than thou.
That was a double joke.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because you're neutral?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say neutral, and then you said holier than thou.
Yeah.
Do we have any more cheese puns?
Do we have any mozzarella?
The 4 listeners who are still listening after that cheese-related episode.
I think people love cheese.
We just are clearly always hungry when we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
totally my fault. Cheese is like one of my You know how you have a go-to like word? That
I don't
you
like
just-
goat cheese.
I was originally
Really?
Goat-to cheese.
goat cheese is the best cheese.
No, I
so
know, I
you're
said
Uh,
It's
goat
just softer,
goat
right?
Gouda is amazing.
I never had goat Gouda.
Get some Midnight Moon goat Gouda.
I just chevre.
Why is it every time that I end up advertising for some sort of food somewhere?
Go midnight goat Gouda. Tastes like
yeah,
Gouda,
Midnight
made
Moon
of
goat
goat.
Gouda. It's real good. It's firm.
Yeah. I like the softness of goat cheese. I think it pairs really well with like figs or bacon.
Oh, God.
Mm. Yes.
Pairs really well with blood. What did you guys learn today? That might have been.
I learned about a bunch of different cheeses. I feel like I hadn't heard like half of the ones that you said.
Yeah.
Call me crazy. I'm not a big cheese
You're
guy.
crazy.
That's not nice. I didn't ask for this.
All right, Kevin. What did you learn?
I learned that you should never swing your arms out on a boat in the middle of a swamp because an alligator might pull you down.
It's the number one threat of waving
Yes.
your arms on a boat is alligator.
Serious issue.
They're very bad at spotting alligators in Florida. They
Yeah.
couldn't kind of see it in the swamp, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
I learned that if you step on a rattlesnake, just be polite, just apologize, and it'll go away.
Yeah, I really wanted to
Yeah.
have that rattlesnake speak like in an Australian accent. Like I thought that'd just be.
If I could have done an Australian accent, I would have. But
definitely.
good
more of a
day,
Kiwi.
mate. Yeah, I can't. No.
Also,
He's okay.
I was
Don't
really,
stick on it.
I was really just trying to kill off Chet. There.
Yeah, clearly.
And I'm proud of you guys for fighting against that.
Yeah, well, the whole point of this is like a F your suggestion, and well, I'll take it. It's like a yes and, but
it's yes ending, exactly.
but also yes and screw you, Peter.
Yeah.
I once Chet survived the gator attack, I was like, okay, I know he is not gonna die, but I want to try. And then he did ultimately.
Yeah,
They all
ultimately
died.
everyone died.
That's sad.
Well, but they found love.
In a hopeless place.
Yeah, it's a Rogue One situation.
They didn't kiss in
Yeah,
Rogue
I guess
One.
that's true.
I'm glad they didn't. Anyway,
Yeah, me too.
spoilers.
Yeah.
Right?
That movie's 2 year and a half old. Go see it, or
It's
don't.
pretty
If
old.
you don't care, if you haven't seen it, you don't care enough to see it, and that's fine. You don't have to. It's just Star Wars. But like, don't get angry at us for spoiling a movie that's 1.5 years old in the most spoilerific universe, Star Wars. Like, people are gonna spoil it for you. Deal with it. They're all dead. Also, you know they're all dead because that's point. Anyway,
That was very defensive
There
for
goes
some
Peter,
imaginary
spoiling the
complaints.
2001 film The Others again for me.
haven't seen it.
Oh, they're all dead.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw that as a child.
As
Um,
a
It
child.
was scary.
Do you guys have anything else to add? Oh,
I do, but I don't want to say it.
what do you have to add, John?
I got punished.
What do you?
I
oh.
got binged.
Yeah, and right near the end too. You were scot-free. So are you lactose intolerant?
I want to say no, but I don't really drink milk or eat cheese.
Got it.
So who knows?
We are Jewish, and that means you probably have a higher chance of being lactose intolerant, but you're not.
Very possible.
So
Yeah.
one of the options is going to be you having to eat a lot of cheese. Like that
Or
is
tiramisu.
tiramisu. He has to eat tiramisu every night for the rest of his life.
Oh my god, because that's exactly what you want me to do, Peter, right? It's like, now that I've gotten into healthier shape. You want
Yeah.
me to undo it? You want me to Orson Welles myself?
Yeah.
I won't do it, Peter.
Oh, the French champagne. Have you seen that video?
No.
Guys, look up Orson Welles champagne. You'll
Oh
enjoy
no,
it.
I have seen that. The really bad commercial.
Yeah,
where
he was
like,
super drunk.
I have not. That sounds right.
Go
up my
watch
alley.
it,
Okay.
everyone. Yeah. So you can vote on our story punishment. You'll find out this week's story punishment. Last time's story punishment. You can vote on mine from our last episode. Today, when this podcast is aired, at Finish My Story Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and Finish Story Cast on Twitter. And then next week, we'll reveal John's punishment options, as well as what you choose for my punishment. And welcome, Cameron. You're official now.
Yes.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at CamHope329
Nice.
or on Instagram, just CamHope.
Ooh, you're the only Kim Hope.
Mm-hmm. I got in early on the Instagram.
Perfect. John, do you have anything to add?
I don't. Please be easy on me because I tried.
Yeah.
I really tried.
All right, I think that's all for today, guys. Have a great mid-morning snack. I know it's right now you're listening to it. It's 10 a.m. It's not quite lunchtime. You're sitting at your desk. You're wondering. You're eating some raisins, and you're just like, I need to listen to some podcasts now. This is the only time I get in my day. So enjoy this snack. Your raisin. Maybe you got some cashews in there too. And just, have a great rest of that time. And if you're not listening to it during a mid-morning snack, just go and fix that and go grab a snack and re-listen to it in the morning time.
And also be sure to check out Les's podcast.
Yes. He just loves the Hallmark Channel.
He just loves the Hallmark Channel.
We miss you, Les. We'll see you soon. He might come back soon.
He might, and also be sure to check out his his podcast. As I said, yeah, he will be missed.
Thanks, guys. Talking again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.